Just 21% of Gen Z respondents to Ramsey Solutions' The State of Personal Finance in America survey said they often use credit cards. Given that Dave Ramsey has long stressed the value of being debt-free, this suggests that many people might be headed in the right direction. He also said that he expected Millennials and Gen Z to go bankrupt in the near future. What did Dave Ramsey say about Millennials and Gen Z going bankrupt? Guru of personal finance Dave Ramsey has a lot to say regarding the roughly half of young adults who are still living at home, a percentage not seen since the Great Depression. According to Morgan Stanley analysts' analysis from December, the U.S. luxury goods market is being driven by this generation, which includes people ages 18 to 29. According to the analysis, living at home allowed younger millennials and older Gen Z members to have more discretionary income, which allowed them to purchase expensive watches and handbags. In a recent episode of The Ramsey Show, self-made millionaire and author Ramsey criticized the tendency. Ramsey is the author of multiple personal finance books. Now, allow me to clarify. You have a Coach purse, but you live in your mom's basement, Ramsey remarked. This is the way life works. You can't run from it. It's coming from your behind. Mom can't keep you safe. Ramsey predicts a train wreck as a result of the trend and accuses the parents of the young adults for out-of-control helicopter parenting and coddling. Co-host Jade Warshaw continued, "The problem is you have debt, you're not earning enough money, and you're not doing enough to go out and change it. Your parents cannot help you with this. However, things are a little more nuanced than that. Not lack of motivation or parenting, but the economy is pushing a lot of young adults to live at home. Can young adults save money by living at home? A highly educated generation that graduated during and after the Great Recession, Millennials and Gen Z faced a challenging employment market due to their massive student loan debt. Many have since made significant progress toward accumulating wealth, but the arduous journey there has forced them to delay marriage, parenthood, and property ownership compared to their parents, if they ever experience these life events at all. According to Andre Perry, a senior scholar at Brookings Institution, it's almost like we don't want millennials to get a piece of the American dream, as reported by Fortune in November. Financial difficulties has also befallen Gen Z. The eldest members of the group were thrust into a grim job market at the beginning of their careers due to a pandemic. Many people are skeptical that they would be able to save enough for retirement and/or buy a home, even though they gained an advantage at work as the job market recovered, and the fears of a recession drove them to save more than the previous generations. For the first time in 40 years, both generations are now dealing with excessive inflation. Some are even unable to get a roof over their heads. The cost of rent in the United States rose so dramatically in the last year that people now need to work 6 more hours a month than they did before the outbreak. According to a PropertyManagement.com poll, 39% of millennials moved back in with their parents last year to exorbitant rent. More than half claim to have returned home to increase their savings. It's evidence that having parents live at home might have financial advantages. Doyle Williams, an executive vice president at Country Financial, stated back in 2018 that this should not necessarily be viewed as a negative thing as long as there are clear fiscal goals in place. Williams also added that millennials can use this to save for a down payment and to establish an emergency fund. At that time, 35% of millennials were still living at home with their parents, according to the Country Financial Security Index. As of right now, the PropertyManagement.com poll puts that number at 1 in 4. According to a different research, the growing expense of living is preventing over 30% of adult Gen Zers from moving out on their own, even while they are still living at home with their parents. Of course, some young adults would rather pamper themselves. After all, Gen Z is more driven than previous generations to be able to acquire material goods and start making expensive purchases early in life. Even if such is the case for individuals who live at home, money is still being squandered anyway. Furthermore, not every boomerang kid is spending much on luxury. Many simply believe that living with their parents will enable them to eventually afford what their parents could once afford. The advent of high inflation in 2022 marked the end of the period marked by extremely low interest rates and quantitative easing. For the time being, this change has disproved earlier theories about the economy and the markets. Central banks won't support harmed markets any longer. Selling speculative assets is no longer a surefire way to become wealthy, as Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX has discovered. It's a brand new world. This has led to anxiety among the Millennials and Gen Z regarding finance. Let us look into some of the reasons that led to such a dire situation. The unanticipated increase in inflation is the root cause of this turmoil. The Federal Reserve raised the federal funds rate by 4.25 percentage points to a level last seen in early December 2007. The Bank of England raised rates by 3.25 percentage points to a level last exceeded in November 2008. And the European Central Bank raised rates by 2.5 percentage points to a level last seen in December, with the Bank of Japan being the notable exception. Bond yields have increased as well. The yields on 10-year gifts, German bonds, and U.S. Treasuries have all increased since the end of December 2021 by more than 2.6 percentage points, 2.2 percentage points, and 2.3 percentage points respectively. By long-term norms, rates are modest. But since early 2011, U.S. yields have not been this high. Real rates have also increased. The yield on U.S. 10-year Treasuries that are inflation protected has increased over the past year from negative 1% to more than 1.5%. Inevitably, rising rates have caused asset prices to become unstable. The year ended with stock markets that were noticeably volatile but far from being cheap. By the end of 2021, Bitcoin had dropped from $65,000 to around $16,600. Will there be uncertainty in the coming years? The main concerns outside those related to geopolitics and energy are inflation and monetary policy in the future. Monetary policy in the significant jurisdictions is likely to loosen before the end of the year if inflation quickly declines. It won't happen if it doesn't. This uncertainty about the outlook for monetary policy must endure as long as it does. As debt becomes more expensive, higher interest rates will cause casualties. The market instability is also expected to persist given the uncertainty. The combination is probably going to raise defaults and shake off overbought assets. Defaults will become more probable if rates continue to rise, not just in emerging and developing economies where there is obvious turmoil. High-income nations will also put pressure on highly leveraged ventures. Recessions, according to Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter, result in creative destruction. At the very least, expensive cash will serve as a necessary reminder that using leverage is never a one-way bet. The longer-term question is whether the free money period is passing through a blip or coming to an end permanently. In The Great Demographic Reversal, Charles Goodhart and Manoj Pradhan, among others, make the case that demographic dynamics would eventually lead to increased inflation and interest rates. Oliver Blanchard, a former IMF senior economist, contends that once the current inflationary shock has passed, the dynamics that have led to low real interest rates on safe assets will still be in control. Let us take a look at how the end of free money has caused trouble. The tech sector has been characterized for more than 10 years by two economic zeros. Due to the zero interest rate policy, ZIRP, implemented throughout the Western world, the cost of money fell precipitously, allowing startups to operate at a loss for several years and piquing investors' interest in taking enormous risks that could result in significant rewards. However, the zero marginal cost of the software sector allowed for circumstances like WhatsApp, which had 55 employees serving 420 million users before being acquired by Facebook for $19 billion. But both of those circumstances are ending. The growth of AI technologies poses a danger to the production model that has enabled the sector to achieve its current dominance, while governments around the world have increased interest rates in a last-ditch effort to contain post-pandemic inflation. And as a result, the coming decade may be substantially different from the previous one. The degree to which the future differs from the pre-inflationary past will thus depend on how quickly inflation declines and how high real estate rates rise. However, the cost of both money and risk has increased recently. That presents danger and chance. What do you think about Dave Ramsey's thoughts on Millennials and Gen Z going bankrupt? Do you think it will affect the economy? Do let us know your thoughts and views in the comment section. For more interesting stories and updates, subscribe to our channel and do not forget to press the bell icon for notifications. Goodbye.